Hey, how you doing tonight? Welcome to the channel. Tonight I'm going to be talking about Halo Infinite and the trailer that released with the 5 or so minutes of gameplay. And I want to break it down into a few different categories, my regular stuff. I have some notes here that I want to go over, so let's get right into it. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, if you're an Xbox fan, you may not like what I'm about to say, and my intention is not to just hate on Xbox and hate on this game and Halo. I played the original Halo, and I played Halo 2. I really enjoyed those games. I spent many hours playing the game, those games, and the multiplayer. So I'm a fan. It's not like I'm somebody, just because I missed out on the last few iterations, that I'm just here to just trash it because it's an Xbox game and I don't have an Xbox. That's not at all what I'm doing here. But if it comes out that way, there's nothing else I can say. All you can do is take me on my word. But I really did not like this trailer. The more and more I watched it, I was disappointed. When the original trailer came out, and I believe it was at E3 a year ago, E3 2020, but I could be wrong. The backlash from that reveal was so bad that Xbox delayed the game a year. And that's not good. That was not a good look. And I know that it got memed to hell and back with the Craig meme and just the poor quality and everything that it looked like. It did not land, even with Xbox fans. And again, as someone who doesn't own an Xbox, and I got nothing against the system or the whole platform. I know they have all the Xboxes that they're trying to cater to. That's a whole different opinion right there, a whole different video that I don't agree with. However, that's what they're doing. That's Microsoft's plan, and I think this is the first time that I have really seen a tentpole flagship title from Xbox look like it is selling to the lowest denominator, which would be the original Xbox One. Obviously, it does not have the power of the latest Xbox. There's multiple platforms. I don't even remember. I think there's like 4 or 5 from the original Xbox One to their latest and greatest, the Series X, I believe is what it is. The system is powerful. They've been talking about this for a while now. Xbox has been boasting about how powerful their system is. Their latest Xbox, the specs on it are good. It's a powerful system. This should blow my mind. This trailer and this gameplay reveal should blow me away. And to me, I just feel like the original Xbox One making the game to work on that system is really hurting this title. And I wish they would just sever the tie and make the game for the latest system, the current gen that we are in right now, and then release the iterations that are dialed back at a later date, a month later, a week later, whatever they could do. But I really think that the technology that they're using they would do so well. It would look so much better. And I watched this gameplay trailer a few times now. I mean, I've dialed through this, I've scrolled through it and scrubbed it and paused and was looking at the different animations and the effects, and man, it just does not look good. I was really bummed because I said this before and I'll say it again. Microsoft needs a title that's just going to smash people and just blow them away. That's going to sell their latest console. They need to sell Xboxes. They really do. And I know that the argument for Game Pass and having these games day one on all these different platforms, PCs and Xboxes, as long as you have Game Pass, you got the game. It's a great deal. It's a great bargain. I get it. And I understand where they're going with this, but I think it's holding this game back. And I think we're really starting to see that. When this trailer launched, a lot of people hated on it, including myself. I was laughing when I saw it. I was like, this looks terrible. But when they delayed it, I thought, okay. And they delayed it a year. I was like, okay, they're going to go back to the drawing board. Let's see what they can do. And what they did was they just up-resed and remastered what was already there. So I have notes here. So let's just get into this. And in terms of the graphics, we'll just start there. The way it looks, I thought the draw distance looked really good. I thought it looked like most open worlds. It's the draw distance really, it makes the difference. when things are when they hide the detail of how far you can see with fog and clouds and your vision, so that they don't have to populate as much of the world at a distance, so that the game will operate at optimal levels. I didn't see that. It looked that in that regard, I was like, oh, that looks good. Like, I'm looking off in the distance in the trailer, I thought it looked really good. The the things that really hurt it were the up close shots. When you started getting up close to these things, and the first thing that stuck out to me right away was there is a shot, sort of a panning shot, a close up shot of the warthog. And it's kind of when the beginning, towards the beginning of the trailer, when it really kicks off. And I could not help but notice that the wheel, the tire, the right rear tire of the warthog didn't cast a shadow. And the light, the reflection on the platform that it was sitting on, was showing right underneath of the tire. And it was a glaring, I mean, I know that that seems like such a minute detail, and that I'm picking at this game and I'm trying to find things that were wrong. But for me personally, I saw it right away, and I had to pause it and rewind it a few times. And I wanted to make sure, because it kind of goes through really quick, and there was subtitles across the bottom that were covering the actual reflection. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but it was just hard to go back and see. But that really stuck out. That really did. It looked poor. It did not look well. It looked like the tire was sort of floating in the air. The next thing that really stuck out for me was they show Master Chief. He's choosing a vehicle, which is cool. Actually, when I saw that ability in the game where you can actually choose your weapons, that it looks like some sort of platform or a station that you can decide to either drop. It showed looked like a quad or like a four-wheel ATV type vehicle, and then they show the vehicle that Master Chief selects in the gameplay, and it's called a Wasp, and the vehicle lands on the platform and it smacks the ground. The sparks that came off of the wings and the nose when it hits the ground, they were terrible. It looked awful. There was no real particle effects, and in fact, all of the impact points where the sparks were emitted from, it was identical. They were exactly the same. And that's just, it's little things like that that I think over time are going to drag this down, and they stood out to me immediately. I as soon as I saw it, I stopped, rewound. It just looks bad. Those details right there are what really make this game look like it's a previous generation game. And even before, I mean, everyone can agree that when the original trailer, when they dropped this trailer a year ago, everyone was laughing at it, So it's not like I'm crazy here. I just thought that they were going to do a hell of a lot better than this. The explosions I thought were very generic and very samey. Like, every time there was an explosion, whether it was from a tank or from Master Chief throwing a canister at a silo and that explodes, it looked generic. And it was actually it was sort of that type of explosion that goes off and it looks exactly the same, like, every single time to me. Now, to me, this is just my opinion. Again, it's worth what it costs. But the particle effects from the explosions was just non-existent. And we are at a time right now where when you're playing a current game that's made for PlayStation 5 or Xbox One or the Xbox Series X, the particle effects make a big deal, and I can't help but compare it to Ghosts of Tsushima. That game had major particle effects that were really beautiful to look at. And there were explosions in that game, and they looked really good. Now, Ghosts wasn't perfect. If you went into the water on that game anywhere, you know what I'm talking about. The water, they skimped on the water. Now, there's not a lot of it in the game. You're on an island, but there are bodies of water that you can jump in, but it wasn't perfect. And I took some pictures of some funny pictures of just being in that game and seeing the water just not looking good. It just, like, you can tell that was an area that they really went, like, just total bargain bin. And okay, that's fine. So I'm not saying that PlayStation doesn't make games that have drawbacks like this, and Xbox is just totally guilty of it. both all systems do it and all games do it, but this is the main gameplay. This should not look this way. The explosions and particle effects should be immense. They should be really captivating. And when you see them go off, when you see Master Chief shoot a rocket launcher at enemies, the effects should be jaw dropping. They really should. There should be an impact, to the ground. He fires rockets at a silo, and the silos, they exploded and they looked very generic. It was almost like they were they were together as the silo that he shot. We saw him blow up two of them in the gameplay, and both times it was a matter of the silo was there, he hits it or hits it with a rocket, and when it blows up, it was solid, and then it was apart, and it was almost like a flash that separated the actual metal blowing out and debris flying off of it. It just looked cheap. It really did. So I don't think this game looks that good. There were some other things too, like I paused it on a couple of little spots where you see the enemies. There's one of the enemies that you see Master Chief. He's getting into a little duel with like a one-on-one, might be like a mini boss battle or a boss battle. And when I paused it they did like a small cutscene of the character, and it was more of a cutscene style where it didn't look like actual gameplay, so it looked a little bit cleaner and better. And then when I paused it on it, I just looked at some of the textures. They looked muddy and washed out. The detail just wasn't there. And I just don't think this game I don't think this game is going to sell Xboxes at all. I don't think it's going to sell systems, and it's just the way it has to be. If they want to get back in the race of this, the console competition, they're going to have to make better games than this. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe when it comes out, all of this is just water under the bridge, and something for the normies. That channel just don't know what the hell they're talking about. But I'm telling you right now, I've watched this trailer multiple times, and I just was not impressed with the way it looked. The thing about the open world format that they switched to, I'm okay with games changing things up. We have seen different iterations from multiple studios on multiple platforms where they changed the formula up to a very successful outcome. God of War comes to mind. As a PlayStation owner, God of War, they completely changed and reinvented that game, and it came out great. Looked fantastic. You can even go as far back to Mario on Nintendo being a 2D side scroller, and then when it stepped into the 3D realm, that game was amazing. I just loved it on Nintendo 64. So so it's not unheard of that they can change the formula. Developers can change the formula, and it can just be a total success. It can go the other way. It completely can go the other way. Think of Fable. When Microsoft launched Fable Legends trailer, Xbox fans, were totally upset about it, and I thought they had every right to be, because they took an open world game and turned it into some sort of like dungeon master evolve type game that no one liked it, and the game got canceled and they closed the studio. So it can go either way. And again, I'm not trying to just use these examples, and Microsoft, and their studios, they don't know how to, reinvent. That's not what I'm saying. Those examples they stuck to me. They just came to my head right away. And the thing too is, Forza Horizon just came out, and Playground Games, who was the developer, they killed it. I don't own an Xbox, but I might get Game Pass and play it on my PC just because I thought it looked really cool. I'm not a big Forza guy. I don't know anything about the game at all. I just know that every time it comes out, it looks fantastic. It looks amazing. And it looks like the type of game that I would really enjoy playing. And it looks like it's worth having the system, but I would just need a little bit more. I would just need and this was the game, right? Halo for me was the game that if the gameplay, the graphics, the score, the sound, if it all hit. And Halo has done this before. They have made amazing games. I know they switched developers. I know 343, who is the current developer. I know that Halo 5 came out and it didn't really land well with a lot of the core Halo fans, story-wise. So I don't know. I'm not going to say that 343 is just untouchable and they are just amazing and everything they do is perfect. So I'm not going to say that they are bad. They're not a bad studio, but they have missed the mark a few times. And I have yet to hear or see them make a Halo game that is a 10, just perfect, amazing, gotta play. So I'm not here to tell you that 343 sucks at all. I think they can make stuff. They can make good games. They can make quality games. I just haven't seen them hit that thing out of the park yet. I just haven't done it. So let's move on. The open world format is something that I don't agree with in this genre. This is a campaign driven game, and then the multiplayer is something separate. The thing that worries me when I saw this trailer, watching the open world elements of this game, it looked very similar to the run of the mill open world games. I'm a fan of open world games. I've played plenty of them and enjoyed plenty of them. So I'm not saying that this is a total loss, but I think that this doesn't bode well for this type of game. Halo is a campaign story driven epic tale, a science fiction epic just story with a character that is beloved by Xbox fans and myself. Again, like I said, I don't own an Xbox, but Master Chief is awesome. I think he's badass. He has all of the elements of just a badass sci-fi hero, and I really enjoy like seeing him kick ass, controlling the game. I enjoyed playing Halo 1 and 2. I loved them, and I loved the lore and everything about it. It's just now they're taking it into this new direction of open world game, and I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but for me personally, it was a little bit of a turnoff for me, because there are shots in the trailer where you can see the open world, you can see the map, and you can see collectibles across the bottom, and you can see progression, and it just looked like another open world game. That's not really why I would play Halo. That's not why I would go back to Halo to play another open world game. There's so many of them out there now that they would really have to do something different to spice it up. They would have to add some special ingredients to make it separate from the rest, to make it a different experience than just the normal open world, go wherever you want, conquer the missions any way you choose. That's sort of, it's a very cliched marketing speak that I heard during this trailer, and I've heard it in a million other trailers. You know, freedom to do everything as you want, whenever you want. It's so amazing. Okay, every game does it, so it's like it's just kind of copy and paste marketing for me. So when I heard him say that, it's kind of an eye roll moment. But we'll see. I'm not going to say that it's bad. I just don't think it fits this genre well. I just really don't. I think this is a first person campaign, story driven mode with a really fantastic multiplayer onto the side, like bolted on. So it's like you're getting two games. You're getting that really cool kick-ass campaign that you play through, and then when you're done with it, or or while you're playing it, whatever, you play the multiplayer and with your friends or solo, and you just have so much fun in that multiplayer. I just think that this is changing the game, and I think it's going in the wrong direction. But that's just me. The other thing about the open world stuff was, I saw that there was, when they showed the map, there was some things. They showed upgrades, and they showed the FOB, forward operating base. Do you upgrade your base, or do you have a home base that you're going to upgrade? Do you take over bases and upgrade them? Is there some sort of metagame within the game? That could be interesting. I've seen different metagames inside of open world campaigns and games that really elevate the game as a whole. So that would be cool, but I didn't see that. So I can't say that that's what it is. I would hope that they would do something that would be kind of different, I guess. You could add in a total different metagame where you're managing your bases in terms of, fortifying them and making them more resilient against the enemy so that they don't get taken over? Can they be taken back over? I don't know. And so again, there's a lot of questions, but it was something that sort of stuck out for me when I saw that. When I saw the tab for the FOB for the bases, I was curious about that. The other thing that really stuck out with the big change was the RPG element. They're adding this sort of upgrading RPG style where you have weapons and abilities that you can upgrade by earning some sort of currency. That is something else that it's a formula that is very attractive to a lot of people, myself included. I love that feeling of progression. That gets me. That's a selling point for me. So when I saw it, I thought, wow, that looks cool. I like it. But is it good for Halo? I don't know. I don't know. The hardcore players and the hardcore fans of Halo, I think, could answer that way better than I ever could. So I'm not going to say that it's good or bad, just like the open world. Just for me, when I saw it, I thought, wow, that looks cool. I like it because I know what I like in terms of the gameplay. You know, when it comes to RPG elements and upgrades and managing inventory, I enjoy that type of stuff. But Halo fans may not. You know, the hardcore fans of Halo may not really enjoy that. So I don't know. That one's, again, they're really going in a different direction, and I don't want to just hate on them and say you guys are making mistake after mistake. That's not at all. I think the mistake is right now, the glaring mistake is this game does not look next gen or current gen. It does not look good enough to sell consoles. It looks just like another game, and that's not cool. Halo deserves to be that upper echelon, next level game that you tell your friends about. You spread the word. You got to play this game. It's so much fun. It's so amazing. I just think it just doesn't look like it. It just, the visuals, it just looks like any other game to me. It just looks like another Halo game. It doesn't look like the next generation of Halo. So, and I think they're relying heavily on the RPG light, you know, the elements of that, the open world. I think they're relying heavily on that. And I don't know, the fans of this game and the buyers and players of this game, they are the ones to make that call. I really don't. I'm not going to put too many. I don't put a lot of stock in reviewers. I really don't. I never have. I used to. I don't want to say never. Let me rephrase that. I used to really take reviewers' opinions and their reviews into account and for my buying choices. But over time, I don't really rely on them too much. I will listen to what they have to say, and I'll watch video reviews. There are a couple that I when I listen to them, I believe them, and I think that they're not just trying to sell the game. But when it comes to corporate, you know, review sites, nah, I don't put a lot of stock in them. You may not. I don't know. You may agree with that, but that's just the way I am. So let's move on to a couple of things that I did like, because there are some things that I liked. I disliked this more than I liked it, but there were some things that I thought were really cool. Number one being, I thought the grappling hook looked really fun. It looked really cool. That is a really neat way to travel and traverse around the terrain. When you see Master Chief anchoring up to a platform that's, you know, 30 feet above him, and then it yanks him and basically tosses him in the direction, and you're flying. And I'm assuming there's no fall damage because, you know, he's falling like 40, 50 feet from the sky and he's just fine. So, and I know he's not like a mortal human. He's not like a normal person. He's, you know, there's lore there that explains that he takes more damage than a person, than like a normal human. So that makes sense in the lore. But the grappling hook looked fun when he's grabbing objects to throw at enemies, like exploding canisters. He grabbed a weapon in one part of the demo that I thought was cool. He grabbed this big old hammer, and he quickly upgraded on the fly to upgrade his, it looked like some sort of strafing ability or a dodge ability, but he slides out of the way and he goes invisible. I thought that was cool. I thought that was a really neat addition. I've never seen that before in a Halo game. Maybe it's there. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't played Halo since Halo 2, but the the abilities that ability anyways looked really cool, and the grappling hook looked fun. So, and I don't know, I'm kind of a sucker for a grappling hook. Like whenever that's added to any sort of gameplay, like I think of like, oh, what was that Assassin's Creed? It was what was that? It was Assassin's Creed based in like, it was London, but it was like the Steam era. Oh man, I always forget these. I just think of the game and I always forget the title. I did the same thing with the Assassin's Creed Unity. Regardless, that game added this grappling hook, and it really made traversing the world that much better. Playing the Arkham games, the Batman games, with the grappling hook, that was so much fun to be able to pull yourself and get away, or avoid enemies or get into the shadows. That was a little bit different. It's a little more stealth, but still, it added a whole different level where you're not grounded to the ground. You can move around. You don't need to like worry about running to a wall that you can run up and climb, or looking for stairs or an elevator or some sort of ability to get off the ground. You have it right on your wrist. That's cool. I think that's a really cool ability. And it looked like it was working in the environment. It seemed perfectly placed for that type of environment. The multiplayer, I believe, has the same thing, and that looked really cool. So we'll see. The gunplay, it's solid. It looks to me, and you just don't know until you get on the controller and you're behind the sticks, and you're the one that can say whether or not, as you play the game, if the gameplay is tight. That has never really been an issue for Halo games. Even since 343 took over, they've made great gunplay. They know how to make a first-person shooter. So the moment-to-moment gunplay looked really fun, looked really engaging. So I don't think that there's going to be anything missing there. I really don't. I think they're going to do just fine on that regard. Outside of that, though, the rest of the trailer looked it looked okay in terms of the story. I'm not up on the story, so I know there's pieces that there's a bunch of lore pieces that there were things they were talking about. I just didn't. I know who Cortana is, and I know that general story, but the idea that he's brought back to life, essentially, we see Master Chief floating in space, and he gets brought back to life, and then you're on this like a desolate Halo. I forgot the name. It was like Zeta or whatever. That looked pretty cool. That's a cool way to set up the story. And we know that he's going after, or he's retrieving, a new AI called the Weapon. And we see her. It's another AI that talks to him, that he holds in the palm of his hand and he speaks to, and she gives him information. The only thing that I didn't like about that part of the gameplay or the trailer, I didn't think that Master Chief and the Weapon, or whatever this new AI is, if that's her name, I'm sure she will have a different name, but right now I just know her as the Weapon. The banter was kind of lame. I didn't really get a big kick out of it. And I know I'm a stickler for that type of stuff. I don't think that the jokes and banter written for video games currently it's very hit or miss, mostly miss for me. When I see trailers and I see characters talking to one another, the dialogue always seems to come off cringy and annoying. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. I didn't think any of the humor landed with me. I didn't think it was that funny. They tried to end with a little joke at the end. It didn't land with me. But I'm interested in the campaign and the story. I want to see where this is going to go. And I don't know if I'm going to play this game. I don't know. I'm considering getting a Game Pass and playing on my PC, just buying an Xbox controller and playing this game so that I can give an actual review. And I do want to get in on that play. Like the multiplayer, from what I understand, is really fun. And that's a huge selling point for me personally. Halo multiplayer is legendary. That was the game that brought GoldenEye, was the game that brought the camera controls and using two controllers, actually, because they only had one stick and one D-pad, but using two controllers, not controllers, two access points, I guess, or whatever. You had the ability to move your camera and to strafe back and forth. That was GoldenEye, and that was revolutionary. It changed the game completely. But Xbox and Halo, they were the ones who really, that game was the beginning of what all first-person shooters are right now. Every first-person shooter that we play is basically built off of what Halo accomplished. And I got mad respect for that. Like I said, I've spent many of hours playing Halo 1, Halo 2 multiplayer. So getting back into this game and having it on Game Pass, I guess they might get me, and maybe that's their whole point. They don't really want to make games that are like, amazing looking and have the AAA style once in a lifetime type of experience. And maybe their thing is just they want to make it very accessible to as many players as possible. Maybe that's all they care about, and maybe that's working. I don't know. I just really thought that this trailer was poor. It just did not. When I saw this trailer, I really was expecting to be blown away. I thought this is what's going to really sell this system. This is what's going to move Microsoft up a notch, because instead of chasing PlayStation and trying to acquire studios like crazy so that they can build their library up, I thought this was going to be a game that was going to show why the library is so special and not rely so heavily on all these third parties that they were acquiring to make games for them. I thought this is a Microsoft studio. They're going to put everything they have into this. It's going to be, and I know after the first trailer dropped, they had a lot to come back from. And I really thought they were going to hit it. I thought they were just going to hit this out of the park, and I thought it was going to be an amazing trailer. Maybe I just got too hyped up. Maybe I put too much stock in it and I thought too much of it, but I watched the trailer the first time from front to back, just not pausing, not anything. And as I'm watching it, just things were just jumping out. The things that I talked about just stood out to me in a very bad way. And then when I started going back and playing it again and again and again, I don't think it's going to really market this game. I don't think that was a great marketing trailer. I really don't, because it doesn't take much to look at this trailer and realize that this game looks like it's built for the least powerful console that Microsoft has on offer. And I don't think that's the way to go. I don't think it's going to help them out. But I would love to know your thoughts. So if you would, please leave a comment. I love reading comments, so I'm all about them. Even if they're negative, hey, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, I can take it. I can totally handle you saying that I don't know what I'm talking about and you think Xbox is amazing and I'm just a Sony fan who can't see the forest for the trees. I understand if that's how I come off. That's really not where I'm coming from. So, but please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. It helps the channel. If you haven't subscribed, I wouldn't mind a subscription. Always helps. Hit the notification bell and share it with your friends. And give it a like if you thought it was good. If you didn't like it, thumbs down. I can take that too. But I'm going to close it up here. You guys have a great night. Bye.